Hello world, welcome back.
The truth.
Today I'm going to be talking about inputs and operators in Python. So before we get started with the operators, let's first cover the input part of it. So now I want to take two numbers and as inputs from the user, and those numbers would be stored in variables. So I'm going to be defining two variables here. The first one is going to be num1 and the second one is going to be num2. So here I'm going to say I need to take an input from the user that is going to ask for a number. So let's say please enter a number. So user understands that he she needs to input a number, and here I need another number and it should not be the same. So I'm going to say please input another number. So they can also input the same number, that won't make such a difference, but yeah, there you go. And here, so the user, now we have two number1 and number2 variables that are going to be taking the input from the user. So here, if I need to see what those inputs are, I'm going to say print number1 and print number2, like that, and number2. So we see what the values are. So let's say I want to say 5 and 6. So yeah, here we go, we get 5 and 6 as the two different variables. So now that we know how to take basic inputs from the user, let's get started with the basic operators in Python. So there are four basic operators in Python, and you may be very familiar with these. So the first one is a plus sign, a minus sign, a multiplication sign, and a division sign. So let me tell you what these do if you don't already know. So the addition sign basically adds two numbers. For instance, if you have a 5 and a 5, it gives you 10. Subtraction sign subtracts two numbers. So if you have a 10 and a 5, you get a 5. And if you have the multiplication sign, it multiplies two numbers. So if you have a 5 and a 2, you get 10. And if you have the division sign, if you have for instance a 10 and a 5, you get the result as 2. So now, using these variables that we have defined and created, I am going to use these operators and carry out calculations in Python. So let's say I want to add two numbers, the number 1 and number 2. So let me define another variable that says sum. Okay, and in this variable I'm going to add number 1 and I'm going to add number 2. So now Python is going to add the number 1 value with the number 2 value. But there's going to be an interesting turn when the results are printed here. So let's see what happens. Let me run. Okay, so I'm gonna say 2 and 3. So now let's see what we get. Okay, we get 23, right? And that is obviously not the correct answer because we are intended to get 5 here. So what is happening here is that the number 1 and number 2, Python does not count both of them as integers, and if Python does not count them as integers, it cannot carry out basic calculations as it thinks of them as string. So let's say you have a word that says a and you have another word that says b. So if you add both of them, you cannot add them in Python or in any, you can't add them basically. So it just, Python just puts a in front of b. So that is what is happening here. So it's taking 2 and it is putting 3 on its right hand side. So we don't want that to happen, right? We want to get the answer as 5. So here we need to define, and we need to tell Python that this is not a string and it's a number. So we can do that by saying integer and like that, and placing the values in brackets. So now if we run this, we should probably get 5. And yeah, there we go, we get 5. So this was the addition part of it. Now let's try subtraction. Let me carry out all of the calculations and show you that what we get. Yeah, there we go, we got 5. So this was the basic calculation. Now let's, if you want to say you want to multiply two values, let's run it again. Okay, my bad. So let's say you want to do 2 with 5, you get 10. Yeah, like that. So if we do divide again, let's do that. 2, there we go, we want to divide 10 with 5, we get 2.2. Yeah, so Python, if we always when it divides, it gives the answer into point oh, like in decimals. So now let's talk about how we can use the multiplication sign and the division sign for different purposes. So now if I add one more like another division sign to number 1 and number 2, let's see what happens then. And this, for your knowledge, this is known as integer division. Okay, so if I do 10 with 5, it just gives me the answer without the decimal. Like I said, this is integer division. So let's say I want to do the same thing, and let's say we want to divide two numbers which from which we're gonna get a remainder, okay, or a decimal for that matter. So let's divide 5 with 2 in this case. So let's say we want the first value to be 5 and the second to be 1. Oh, my bad. I just did a typo there. So let's do 5 and a 2. Oh my god, what? A 5 and a 2. Yeah, there you go. It gives you 2. It removes the decimal place like directly from it, and it does not show us that. So now let's say if you have heard about exponents. So basically exponents are like, for example, if I want to get an answer of 16, I should get the exponent should be 4 raised to 2. So raised to 2 is like the exponent. So to do that in Python, we need to add two multiplication signs. So if we do this, we can carry out calculations like those. So let's say 4 and a 2. So it gives you the value of 16. If you want to get the answer as 100, we can do 10 and 2 like that. You get an answer of 100. So this is another way to get to carry out exponent calculations in Python. And now let's talk about the modulus sign, or which is known as the percentage sign in Python. So what the percentage sign does is that it divides and gives the remainder to us. So let's do that, and let's say we want to divide 5 with 2 again. So it gives you the remainder in the digit. So that is how you can carry out calculations, and these were the basic operators, and this was the basic of how to take input from the user. So I'm going to be talking about more of these and I'm going to also be talking about conditions in the coming videos. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments down below, and I hope you enjoyed and have a great day. Bye.